What if I told you that everyone in your office is acting, but no one's admitting it? Let's uncover the hidden roles people play at work and why you feel them before anyone even says a word. Hello and welcome back to Poison Break, Toxic Tales at Work. Do you feel, or have you sometimes felt like you're not in a job, but more like you're in some kind of social experiment? Like everyone is playing a role and they're actually really good at it. And if you're someone who's a bit more emotionally aware or maybe just a little too good at reading people, you start picking up on patterns. There's actually a sociologist, his name is Irving Goffman, and he described everyday life as a kind of theater. He called it front stage and backstage. The front stage is the version of ourselves we show the world. Polished, careful, the version we think people want to see. And the backstage, that's the messy, real, contradictory stuff we keep to ourselves, the stuff that only shows up in private or with people we really trust. At work, most people are almost entirely on the front stage, but if you pay attention, you start seeing little glimpses of the backstage. Tiny slips, subtle tells, and shifts in energy, especially on a bad day or when they're stressed. And for someone who's empathetic, you feel it instantly. It's like being in a play, almost. Everyone thinks it's real life, but you're the one who can see the hidden script. And once you start seeing it, you cannot unsee it. Work isn't just work, it's a stage. And on that stage, people play roles. Some obvious, some subtle, some dangerous, conscious or unconscious, and some almost impossible to ignore once you feel them, basically. I have always been convinced that we all kind of play a role in work. It's something that happens naturally, I think, also when so many different social circles clash and so many different people come together. And we also have to perform in a way because also if you look at, we have to act like we are super interested and super into every topic or the development of the company, even though, let's be honest, most of the people don't really care. Like they go to work to do their job. I mean, there are some people who are living their purpose, maybe also in the corporate world, but most, I would say, are not as interested as they have to act like, So that's also why I think we're kind of forced to play a role. I just wanted to mention that at this point. So let's talk about some of the roles people play at work. These aren't just stereotypes. They are patterns you start noticing once you turn into the energy. And if you're anything like me, you kind of feel it before your brain even registers it. And each role comes with its own energy, its own vibe, and its own consequences for the people around it. So I want to start off with the victim. The type, everything is someone else's fault, deadlines, the system is broken, feedback, totally unfair, the project failed, obviously sabotage. Psychologists call this an external locus of control, blaming outside forces rather than taking responsibility. And those people are usually very emotionally immature, basically. They, for someone empathetic, this role really drains energy. You can feel the tension before anyone speaks. And if you try to help, you quickly realize they don't want solutions, they want validation. Fun fact, the victim can be charismatic too, because they pull people in subtly, making them feel needed or protective. What annoys me most about those people is that they don't take your offer to help them or find a solution because then they cannot be whiny and complain anymore. So the best thing, in my opinion, to do if you recognize this pattern is to obviously not fully ignore them, but to at least not give them all the attention and not putting too much of your energy trying to solve their problems for them. Don't feed their need for validation. Sometimes I can see the little child in them, which throws a tantrum. And deep down, this is what it is anyway. The second one I want to mention is the manipulator. We talk about those people a lot on my podcast and on my channel. The classic manipulator is, super friendly, charming, always smiling. But underneath it all, there's an agenda. Sometimes it's career advancement. Sometimes it's just to feel powerful. Either way, they rarely say what they mean, and you definitely have to read between the lines with those people. This is actually studied in psychology under Machiavellianism, a personality trait where strategic manipulation is second nature. You feel the energy shift when they walk into a room, and if you're sensitive, It's like being caught in a storm you just cannot avoid. Anyone who has experienced this might know exactly what I mean. It's just something off. There's something in the air, you know. You can just cut the air, you feel it. There's something very uncomfortable. And yeah, like I said, definitely that energy shift as soon as they enter a room. It's crazy. Then there's the overachiever. The overachiever, you know, they're always busy, emails at 2 a.m., extra tasks, perfection in every slide, fast-paced, everything's perfect. But often this role is tied to validation. Their self-worth depends on external recognition, and the energy is restless, anxious, and infectious. Here's the catch. They can inspire, but also exhaust the room. They can definitely do both, especially for people who pick up on vibes before words. What I've experienced personally, they make you feel like you need to adapt to their pace. And sometimes they make the non-overachievers or normal people at work, I'm not talking about lazy people, but they make the non-overachievers, just the normal achievers, you know, look like they're doing not enough. And they're sometimes setting a very unrealistic standard for the whole team and for processes and workflows in general. The next one I want to mention is the ghost. The ghost, quiet, invisible, you know, you hardly notice them until you do. And when you do, you realize they've been watching everything. They've been observing. They know the dynamics, the politics, the secrets, and sometimes they use it. Sometimes they just stay safe. If you're empathetic, the ghost is pretty fascinating and slightly eerie. Their energy is quiet and sharp. And I think those people just know how it works and they just know what this all is about, and they keep themselves in the background to protect themselves. And, you know, it's also, from experience, almost impossible for them to be a manipulator's target. It's like when you're so invisible, you're not the target usually. And I'm not talking about like people who, if you think about invisible, you might also think about people who are very introverted or just more quiet at work. But I'm just talking about the people that are really, really invisible. Like you almost forget that they're even working there, you know? Those type of people are what I'm talking about right now. So the last one I want to talk about is the fake nice. The fake nice, you know, always friendly, helpful, always smiling, maybe a bit too much. And pretty hectic sometimes in their way of being, very bubbly. There's a subtle tension though, a mismatch, and something feels off. Psychologists call this emotional dissonance. What they feel inside doesn't match what they show outside. And your gut notices this immediately. Fake nice people can be tricky. They make you trust them while keeping their cards close to their chest. And they can also be incredibly draining, as there is such a big gap between what they seem to be like and what they make you feel like they really are, or what they want you to see. I hope that makes sense. Their energy is extremely draining. Like, I have experienced that. And sometimes those fake nice people, they kind of think that it is expected from them that they are like that, you know, that they are always smiling and bubbly and energetic and whatever. And deep down, they're not really like that. Or they are really fake. But either way, it is extremely draining, especially for empaths or introverts as well, who are not as outgoing and bubbly all the time. I've experienced this as well. This can be extremely draining. Like, if you have a coworker like that, it doesn't even matter what tasks you do, like what job, what role you're in, and how stressful your day is. This person is the most stressful factor in your job sometimes, if there's not a narcissist as well. But it can be super, super draining. It makes you so tired at the end of the day. They're like energy vampires in a way. Also, manipulators can be obviously narcissistic people. Very obvious. But those kind of fake nice people, they drain you so much. It makes, well, how do I say that? It makes you feel like you have to match their energy, especially, like I said, if you are an empath, very empathetic, then it kind of makes you feel like you have to match the energy to seem, to kind of validate or reciprocate their friendliness. And it's kind of match them to find, like, you know, similarities, or to just be likable. That's what I would say. So here's where it gets interesting. If you are empathetic, if you read energy like I do, you notice these roles immediately. You feel the shifts in tension, the unspoken intentions, the hidden agendas, and you realize most people don't even notice it, which is both a gift and a curse, because suddenly you're carrying a lot of information that no one else is aware of. And the flip side is you can navigate these dynamics strategically, protect your energy, make smarter choices, and maybe help others see what they are missing. So maybe the real question isn't just what roles are other people playing, but what role are you playing? Are you conscious of it or lost in the performance? And what would happen if you just stopped performing for a moment? I don't have all the answers, but I do know this. Once you start noticing the roles, the game changes. And that's what this show is all about. Not just spotting poison, but surviving it, understanding it, creating awareness and maybe breaking free even. So thank you for listening to today's episode. I will see you next time. We will dive into more toxic tales at work, in life, and everywhere in between. Thank you so much for listening. Hope I see you in the next one. And stay sane, stay strong. Bye bye.